Okay, welcome to Easy Information with Easy Query. So Easy Query is something that we have had for years. Uh, but a lot of people don't use it to its fullest potential. So there's a lot of information in there that you can gather. So it's a quick look. A lot of things in Easy Query are just snapshots of information that is inputted someplace else. So I do know I have a lot of EMIS people on here. So for you, that's a great way to check some of these things if you don't know where everything is located within the application. And again, a lot of it's just a quick snapshot for you to see this information. You might see this information from another place in the application, which is completely fine. But Easy Query is a quick, easy way to see certain things. So let's go ahead and get started with our Easy Query. I'm going to go into, let's go into Tools. Just going to go to the main menu. So there are three areas in the main menu. We have our Easy Student, we have Tools and Reports. I'm not going to go through every single thing because if you can see in Easy Student, there's a lot of different selections. If you go to the Learning Center, and in the Learning Center, you can type in Easy Query Guide, or there is an actual section for Easy Query. If you scroll down, these are in alphabetical order. You can view all of these. If you go to the guide overview, you can download the guide if you want. It is 78 pages. So you might just want to wait until the training is over and then decide which areas that you like or you want more information about, and you can jump right to that section here. Um, so all of them are listed here. I don't know why they don't call this Easy Student like they do in the application, but this is your Easy Student. Once you go onto your student options, those are all those things that we just saw. If I go back one, and then you have your tools and your reports. So it's broken up into the same three areas that we're going to talk about today. So our first area that we're going to look at is Easy Student. So I am going to get a student in context. So the Easy Student, you are looking at one student at a time. So if I want to start off with Aaron here and click on my attendance, so that's going to take you into the attendance for the student. It shows you the attendance rate for the student. So you can see he's got medical and present days, and then it breaks it down here for any instance. So we're going to look at another one here. So again, it's just a quick, easy look to look at the student. Yes, we have other places to look at attendance, but this is just another one. When you are using Easy Student, again, it is one student at a time. So if I put another student in context, you'll see it'll automatically switch to that student. It will keep you in the same Easy Query information, but it just updates the student information. So you can see here now, this is the attendance for Tim. Okay, and it breaks it down and gives you those nice graphs. So you can see he's had excused, unexcused college visits, and then his perfect attendance days. So, so that's attendance. Again, it's a quick snapshot. It just shows you a little bit about that student. The next one we are going to look at is course history. So course history is just one, so you can get a quick snapshot of what they've done. So if it's in their course history, whether it's from your district or it was imported, you can see that information here, and then you can see what year this was for, what the class name is, and then their credits earned. So again, just quick snapshot of the course history. And you can see these are for a grading period. Sometimes you'll see it as fin for final. So then you would see their final grade as well as their earned credits. Course requests. So if we look at course requests, this is basically their schedule. So if you look here, it's going to show their course name, how many credits it's worth, and the section. So the only thing it does not show you here is what period of the day it is, and then we'll look at schedule, which does. So if it's been approved, so if the course request was approved, it will show the status there. But what it does is if it's been submitted and it's been approved, but it has not been assigned to the student, you'll see here that it's been blank. So there's no course code for this, there's no course section. So I know that health has been requested, it's been approved, but it has not been assigned to that student. So again, quick way to look at that. And you'll notice in all of these windows that I go to, you can't edit anything. So that's why it's like a snapshot of different screens that you work in. You might work in daily, but you can't make any edits. So it's just the view of this. The next one we are going to look at is our EMIS demographics. So if you look here, the EMIS demographics kind of takes the student profile and just puts the text and puts the answers. So you're not looking at all the drop downs. It's not, you don't have to scroll through anything. It's just a quick snapshot of each of those tabs from the profile. So if I look right here, I am looking at my FD attributes. If I click on the drop down, you can see all the different tabs that you would see in the student profile, including the general student information, um, and if they had a legal name and so forth. So that information is going to be in here as well. So if you want to see, the attendance, you can click on the FS attendance and it's going to populate that information. Okay. And again, you can't make any changes, even though it has the little view details here. If I click on that, it just takes you right back to the same page. So there's nothing that I can edit and no quick way to get into that screen. You would then have to go into the student's profile. Enrollment history. Oop. So if I look at the enrollment, this is the history of the student. So when they were admitted into the district, when they have switched buildings, so maybe from the middle school to the high school or, elementary to middle school. And then your EMIS enrollment information is listed at the bottom. So if they're a JVS attending part-time, you can see that they're attending the JVS 50% of the time. So that information is going to be in here as well. The memberships, this is again per student. We'll look at a different membership later on, but this is going to be a list of memberships and services for this student. So if I look at the student here, we know that they are in cross country. So here's their membership code for cross country and early college high school. So those are listed as well as any other services that apply to this student. So quick snapshot of that. I don't really change off of the grid. The grid is probably the most popular, but you can see you can switch by membership and school year. So this will list them by school year. And since there's no school years, it'll go chronologically. If you want it by school year, you can then click on set as default. And when you come back into this page, it will always have it school year chronologically. The schedule looks just like the course request, except now it does have the period of the day, the meeting time. So that is listed here. When you come into the screen, there's also filters. So you'll see this in some areas in student information. If I click on this, it opens a screen where I can filter out what I can see. So, for example, if I'm looking at this and I'm like, well, I don't really use the course codes. I always use the course names. I can turn off course codes. If I don't need to know what term it is for, maybe I'm a elementary and everything's all year. So they don't do things by semester. So I don't need to see the term name. Once I have everything set that I want to see, once I click on display, it will refresh my screen. So now that course code is gone and then the term is gone as well. If I leave this screen and come back, it will maintain those filters for you. So if you go to another student, those items wouldn't be visible. Fees is a quick way to see the student fees. So right now, I don't have any fees for this student. Um, but if I look at the past year, I can see previous fees and if they've been paid. I'm going to pull up another student. So this student has current fees. So if I'm looking at the current fees for all the buildings, I see that this student has $160.50. Same with marks. If I want to look at marks, this is just a quick way to see the student's marks per grading period all the way to the final. So based on their schedule, it's going to show here. You can see that these are all year. If you want to change that or include anything else, so if I want to look at all of them, this student doesn't, I'd have to go back to Tim. But I can view everything else. So if let's go back to Tim. So you can see there's semester classes in here as well as all year classes. Okay. Then the last thing I want to show you in the EZ student is shared student data. So this is important for our students that are attending JVSs, and there's the district trust that is set up. If you don't have a district trust set up, page 34 of the guide, so this 78-page document, page 34 shows you how to add a trust between you and the Career Center. So that is in there. So if we look at our shared data, I'm going to switch students here. So this is going to show, especially if you are working with the Career Center. In this case, I'm not, I just working with Rittman, but you would see what districts are trusted districts for this student, and then the different things that you can look at. So right here, it says choose the data to review. So if I look here, I can look at addresses, absences. I can look at my EMIS information for the student. I can look at the schedule and if they had a schedule in both of the buildings, any assessments. So it's going to show assessments for both buildings. So the high school that's their home district as well as the Career Center. So if I pulled up end of course and we'll look at ACT, you'll see that now it breaks it down. So in the test district, here are the scores, and then as well as the home district. So whichever, so if it's the home or the JVS. So that information is there. Again, you do have to have that district trust set up in order to be able to see this information. So if you know a student that's attending part-time and you're looking at them and you don't see both buildings, you want to make sure that district trust is set up. Again, that is on page 34. Okay, that is our EZ student. Are there any questions with any of these? Again, very simple. Put your student in context and then decide what you want to get a snapshot of. Notice there's no downloads. There's no way to edit any of that information. It's just that snapshot. Okay, chat looks quiet. So I am going to go into tools. Couple things that I want to show here. So one is our absence list. Again, there might be other places that you get absences from, but if I click on my absence list, I'm going to actually remove my student. It doesn't matter if you have a student in context, I'm just going to remove them. So my absence list, what absence type are you looking for? Are you looking for, students that are on a college visit, students that are on a field trip? And so forth? Are you looking for a specific teacher, a specific homeroom? Whatever it might be, you can pull things over onto the right side. And then down here is showing or filtering out what you are going to see in this file. With tools, most of these are, you have two ways to view it. You can just view the data on your screen, or you also have the option to download. And typically we would download as a CSV file, which would open in Excel. So in this case, I'm just going to view it so you can see the data. So I can see that for today's date, I have two students that are absent. So it shows what type of absence it is, and the reason. So if I click back on show filter, if I did want this as a file, then I can choose my CSV, download. You're downloading this, so it is not going into your management like an analytic hub or like your R reports would go. So you would just download these here. The download will pop up on the side. And then I can view my CSV. And just like it shows on the screen, you would see the student, the absence type, and the reason, and so forth. So if you needed this, then you can use the tools in Excel. So if you needed to filter out the students that have, or were college visits or students that were field trip, you can filter out that information using the Excel tools. Back to our tools, we are going to look at our student list. So in here, this can be helpful. So if a teacher is absent, and maybe they didn't have a seating chart in their subfolder, maybe there's a group, maybe the eighth grade is going on a field trip and you want to look at some of their information. So what you can do here is you can pick by teacher. You can also pick by grade level if you want an entire grade level. But down here is the important one. You can get a picture list. Now, I know everybody's in the background cheering because we've been asking for a way to be able to print the picture with the student's name for years, and it's just not there. Don't get too excited. This is only viewable on the screen. It does not download with the picture. If you download this, it will only download the detailed information. Okay. But I do want to show you this because again, if there's subs, things like that, especially, a gym teacher is out and there's no sub plans for the gym teacher, you want that gym teacher to know what kids are in that classroom. So if you look here, you can see the picture list. I'm going to say build the list and it's going to have this. So, I mean, you could take a screenshot of this to be able to print it. But it is printing the students, all of the students for Mr. Boring. So he's got 101 students registered in his rosters. So it's going to pull all those students up and then you can see those pictures. So again, it's just a way to see a group of students versus looking at them one at a time. And again, that is called the student list, and that is changing it from the detailed information to the picture list. If you want to download it, you can download it as a CSV. It would have the student's name and information. It will not have that picture. Oh, teacher, sorry, forgot my teacher. So when you build the list, it's going, or when you download it, it will build the list as well as give you the download file. And you can see it's got the student, the parent name, address, phone number, and their status. So then if I download it, it's going to have all that information listed. So good question. How would we get the photos added into this feature? If they are loaded into Dazzle, they should populate there. If they're not populating, um, put in a help ticket and I will look into it because I'm the one that does the photo uploads. So they should be there. I think I have everybody except for one district updated. So if you're missing a student, again, that's a way you can double check. If you're missing a student, look at a grade level and see, and then, whether the student didn't get photographed or something, that might be the reason. None of your photos are showing? When you're running it, you are clicking on the list type picture list, correct? And then once you click on picture list, you can build your list. You do not make sure you are not the teacher. Um, yeah. Do you see how it defaults to me? I don't have any students registered to me, so I wouldn't see anybody. So you do have to pick a teacher that has students rostered to them. So that is how it pulls, is the students have to be rostered to them. So I'm glad you brought that up because, for you guys, I was just clicking because I know and it's habit, but for you guys, you do have to make sure you show the teachers and then pick the teacher that you want. Don't pick yourself. Thank you. Okay, next is our upcoming birthdays. We do talk about this in new user training, but it's just a quick way, especially for announcements, things like that, so you can see the birthdays that are coming up. So make sure you pick your building. If you have multiple buildings like I do, you can do list view or calendar view. So if I submit this, once I hit submit, it is going to do a date range. It picks the date range from today. I think, what is it, 7 days? But you can change this. So I'm going to actually go to November 1st. I'm going to refresh it, and then you'll see the list of students that have birthdays. If I want to switch to my calendar, I click on calendar, hit submit. It will bring up the calendar, and then you can use the arrows to go month by month. Don't ask me why it does this to December. I think just because there's only one student. Um, but you can see here in January, then I can see all my students. Okay. So when you're doing announcements, things like that, if you need to see the birthdays for the upcoming week or you want to see who has birthdays over the weekend, this is a good way to view them. This is one of the areas in tools that you cannot download. So even in the list view, it does not allow you to download them. So it's just something that you would see on your screen, or you can do a print screen. Okay, those are the tools that we're going to look at. Any question with the tools? And again, there's others, but I'm not going to go through every single one. If there's something, our teachers should be maintaining their seating charts within gradebook, but there is one that you can set up that way. Most of our teachers don't use student information for some of these things like seating charts. They would be doing it in the gradebook side. Okay, but everything is listed here. So if you want more information on upcoming birthdays, you would just click on this and it has it all spelled out for you. Okay, reports. There's two reports that I'm going to show you. The first one that I'm going to show you is the student membership services search. Say that 5 times fast. So if I click on this, so when we did the Easy Student, it only showed that students' memberships. Now, if I do the search here, it allows me to search by student membership. So if I wanted to see who's in sports, I can say view list. Okay, I can pick school year, I can pick a date range, I can do it per grade level. Notice I also have special education services. I could do my gifted services if needed, anything like that. So I can pull out what I need. Then I can hit view list. Notice on this one, notice there is not that download. Okay, so be aware of that. So if I click on view list, this is something that I can view on my screen. Um, but there is not a download for this. So again, I can print my screen, but I can see all the students that are in football, the other sports. If I had a date range, maybe I want to pick out just my winter sports, if there's a start date in there, so then I can see that information. But again, quick way to pull up and look at all your student memberships. You can't edit them from here, but at least you can view and see who is part of that. This is the big one, our SIS student search. This one is so helpful. I use it a lot to find information that you guys are requesting. So we don't always know all the students in your district, so this is a great way to get information when we're looking for things. So the first thing we are going to do is look at each of our tabs. So we have our filter criteria to filter out some of the information, our field selections. So think of those as column headings in a spreadsheet. So what you want to see, or maybe different things that you want to filter out using Excel. So think of those as your column headings. And then the summary just shows you exactly what you've picked and the way that you would want to download it. Down here, yours might be blank, but you can save your student searches. So if you can see, I have two different ones saved, disability conditions and in GPA. So we actually did have a ticket come in on this. A couple students were not being reported on the GPA screen in the student ranking. So we couldn't figure out why. Well, here, somehow that checkbox on the student profile was missed. So they were not calculating a GPA for those students. So that's something that I want and I might use again. So I want to save it. So if you look here, there's three different things that you can do. You can create it. You can update. So think of save as updating one that you've already created. And then maybe you created it and you're like, yeah, I'm not going to use this again. You can delete it. So, but before you can even start creating a saved search, you have to create all of your filters and your field selections. So if you look, you can pick by ad hoc memberships. So any of your ad hoc memberships. So if you have, different classes, your JVS students, things like that, you can pick out just those kids. If you don't want to use an ad hoc membership, you can click on students and you can filter out this way. Maybe you only want certain students, so you can pick them from here, by a homeroom, etc. Enrollment. So same if, maybe you want all the students that are on the senior calendar. Maybe you want your AM kindergarten students, anything like that. So you can pick by calendar, your student statuses. So if you leave all the student statuses, it's going to show you everybody. So if you just want your active and non-residents, you can pull those over. Okay. So you can see if you have multiple counselors in your building and you just want to see the information for one of your counselors, you can pull those. If you want to see primary contact only and so forth, you can pull that in. If you're only looking for students on a certain street, maybe I'm just going to say Route 604 is going to be closing. So the students on that road, we're going to have to, notify them because of busing issues and so forth, because of the detour. So I only want to pull out students that are on that road. So you can filter those out. Your EMIS conditions. So any EMIS situations you can pull out, withdrawal reasons, and so forth. So if you're just looking for something specific, you can pull those. Your disability conditions, if you're looking, I just lost it. It's here. There it is. If you're looking for a specific disability condition, you can pull that over and it's only going to find those students with that. So again, this is like a deep dive of filtering. However, if you leave all of this blank and just choose your field selections, you can always put it into your Excel file and then you can filter out what you need. Okay, but this is if you're just looking for something specific. So, for example, you're looking for students that are attending the JVS part-time. You only want those students and you don't have an ad hoc membership for them. You can just pull those over and then it's going to look at their EMIS situation and only populate those kids. The miscellaneous tab, we don't really use the transportation, but this does have your alert types. And I know a lot of you are now using the alerts for disability alerts to show that the student has documents in same goal. So if you want a list of those, you can use the alert type disability to populate that list. So once you have all your filtering, then you would click on next. The next takes you to the next tab. Notice I can't click on it. I can click through these, but it doesn't let me click through these. I have to use the next button. Once I go to next, then I can start selecting all of my information. So this is what, again, this is what you would see at the top of the column in your Excel spreadsheet. So I want to see first name. I want to see last name. Do I want the student number? Maybe I do. Maybe I want the student's birth date. Um, maybe I want the student's homeroom. So I can pick any of these that I want to see. Then if I go to enrollment, so again, I know there's reports that will compare different calendars, but maybe I want to see their attendance calendar versus their default calendar. So I can do that. I can see what their grade level is. If they're special ed, so I can mark that. If I want to see their counselors, I want the counselors listed so I can filter those out later. Because remember, if you're using the filter criterion, you're only looking for the counselor, Rebecca, it's only going to populate those kids. So if I want to be able to filter and see Rebecca's students, and I also want to see Shelley's students, I could come in here to the filter selection, have that counselor column, and then when I'm in an Excel, then I can filter out just Rebecca's students, have a list for those, and then I can look at Shelley's students, and have a list of those. So sometimes the filter criteria is too specific where the field selection allows you to do a little bit more within Excel. The address, what addresses you want to use. Maybe you want to see the student's email. Maybe you want the mailing address, etc. EMIS, this takes you through all of your EMIS tabs. So, anything that you would see in that student profile, those are going to be listed here, or most of those are listed here, I should say. So if I look at these, you can see a lot of them are listed. So if there's something that I want to look, attendance, anything, I can pull in all of that information. Okay, if they're on a 504 plan, maybe you want a list of your free and reduced students, I would check what I need. So I would go through, and then my last tab that I would go to, transportation. Again, we don't really use this. A lot of you have separate applications that you're using this, but if there's something in here, you could check that as well. Our last tab that we would use, and this is going to show you everything that's been selected. So you can see I'm just getting a list of students' first name, last name, their student number, birthday, and their building grade. Then I have the option to download this. Okay, but before I download this, I think I'm going to use this often. So maybe this is something that I'm going to use, maybe even if it's just once a year. So before I even download that, I'm going to click on this little, believe it or not, it's an up arrow. Usually they're little down arrows, but now I can create. Okay, so I have everything selected that I want, and I am going to click on create. Notice that this goes blank, so it allows me to name it. So this is going to be my birthday list. Once I have that, now I'm going to click on save. Okay, my student search was saved. So you can see everything is there. If I decide to download it right now, I can hit finish and it will download it. So here's my download file. And remember I said that field selection, think of it as column headings. So here's my first name, my last name, student number, birth date, and my building grade. So now if I only want to see my ninth graders, I can click on building grade. I can hit filter, click on the drop down, and I only want to see ninth graders. So there's my list of ninth graders. Then I want to switch and I want to see all my seniors that have birth dates. And then there's my seniors. So again, sometimes those filter criteria in there narrows it down too much because then you're running multiple reports where this, I can use the filter, I can have all the students together, but then I can filter the data that I want to see. So now, say it's 2 days later and I forgot to download the file or I want to rerun it. Maybe we got a new family, um, I'll joke, like a Baltic family that has 10 kids, and they're coming into the district. So we want to include them in there. So I log back in. I'm going to go back into my student search. And now when I come down here, I have my options. I can choose my birthday list. Okay. So I'm going to show you how this works real quick. So if I see here, see how nothing is selected, but if I choose my birthday list and click apply, it's going to automatically check those things that I already selected. So now maybe I want birthday plus I want maybe homerooms. I'm like, oh, why did I just do the grade level? I also want homerooms or homeroom teacher. So what if I add to it, I can just run and print it or download it, I should say, and do it that way. Or if I want to update it, because every time I run this, I want it to have the homeroom on there, I would click on the arrow and I would hit save. And now the next time I come in, that new check mark is going to be in place. Okay. Any questions with the SIS student search? And again, there's more detailed information. I know I'm going through things kind of fast, but if you look in here, you would have your SIS student search and it will take you through step by step on how to create those and save those if you weren't sure. Okay, any questions about Easy Query if you're wondering if it could do something, something that you were looking for? Okay, if there are no questions, thank you for your time. Stay warm, and I hope everybody learned a little something on easy queries.